time to drop.
Welcome back to the Hennisphere, everyone. It is time for our second coaster ranking from Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. Today is still technically day 1, but I'm going to call this day 2 now because I was working hard last night to upload the Pandemonium Clones ranking, and it did not happen. That was supposed to be day 1. This was supposed to be day 2 of 8. There are 8 different coaster ranking videos coming, including Iron Rattler, Wonder Woman Golden Lasso, Poltergeist, Roadrunner Express, Batman the Ride, the SNS 4D Free Spin, Superman Krypton Coaster, so that a total of 9 coasters from Fiesta, Texas will have been ranked on my scale on this channel. Today's coaster is probably very anticipated actually, because I'm sure a lot of you want to see how bad is Boomerang going to rank on my Hennisphere scale. You're about to find out. So Boomerang is one of the most cloned rides in the world, and a lot of people hate it. A lot of people are repulsed by it when they see it on a park's lineup on RCDB. I know I always kind of roll my eyes and say, oh great, what else do they have? A Pandemonium clone, a Wild Mouse, and a Vekoma SLC? Because I mean, if you want to go completely generic, you can just have all cloned rides at your park. I just don't think Boomerangs really help a coaster lineup at any park. So, how do I feel before I get into the score? I'm okay with Boomerangs actually. When I ride them, I go in expecting the worst, and when I come off of them, they're actually okay. And I'm happy that they have intense layout. You get to do a loop, cobra roll forwards and then backwards, and you have a relatively large drop. If you're sitting at the front or the back, one of those drops is going to be about 115 feet. Pretty cool. As far as the transitions go, it's a Vekoma, so it gets a very bad rap. They're okay. I mean, we have a Cobra Roll on Superman Krypton Coaster, so I can compare it to that. I think this one on Boomerang is a little rougher, but it's not horribly rougher, just a little bit. If Superman is considered good, this one is considered okay. Let's go into the stats. This was opened in 1999. At Fiesta, Texas. It was not relocated from anywhere previous. We have a length of 935 feet, which is extremely short. I believe that is going to be the shortest coaster I've ever ranked. Height is 116.5 feet tall. That's not bad. Speed is 47 miles an hour. That's average. Inversions, we have 3, but it's really 6. Duration, obviously less than a minute. Not counting the chain lifts, you're probably looking at 30-40 seconds maybe. Not a whole lot. And G-force is listed at 5.2 on RCDB. That would be positive G's. When I ride it, I don't feel like it's that much. I could be wrong though. Let's go into the enthusiast categories. We will start with the height, 116 feet tall. Not bad, but it's still going to get the middle score, 5 out of 10. Speed, 47 miles an hour, close to 50 miles an hour, which is average. So 5 out of 10 again. Drops. We have 2 good drops on this. It pulls you up to the top both times, forwards and reverse. Reverse drops are pretty cool. So I'd say this is a 6 out of 10, just above average. The G-force. It says it's over 5, so I've got to give it a point extra for that. Other than that, I don't feel that this ride is super duper forceful. There's certainly no negative G's on this, but I'll give this a 6 out of 10, slightly above average. And wow factor. I mean, there really is no wow factor because this is a generic Boomerang. This isn't inverted. This doesn't have vertical lift hills. It does go backwards through inversions, but since it's probably the worst clone out there in terms of how people think of them or feel about them, very negative reviews always, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10 because this coaster really doesn't wow you. It just makes you say, oh look, this park has another Boomerang. Then you roll your eyes and you try to decide, is this worth the credit? Then you ride it and you're like, yeah, I don't want to do that again today. Adding up those 5 scores for the enthusiast categories, we have 26 out of 50. So that is right at the average. Moving on to general public categories, the theming. There is absolutely no theming involved with this ride, 3 out of 10. Restraints. Vekoma restraints are not the best. They don't give the best arm room. They're over the shoulder restraints are rather wide. You don't have the best upper body freedom of movement, but one thing on this is the seats have a rubber material on them that's somewhat abrasive. If you slide your legs across it, it kind of catches on your skin and it can hurt. So I don't like the padding that these seats use, so it's going to get a 6 out of 10. Normally restraints get an 8 out of 10 if there's absolutely nothing wrong with them at all and they feel fine. These are certainly not at that average mark. They're a little below, so we'll give it a 6. The layout, we know the Boomerang layout by heart. You have a reverse lift hill, you go down forwards, go through a cobra roll, and then a loop, back up a hill, pulls you up, you drop backwards, go through the loop, the cobra roll through the station to slow down, then gently come back into the station. It has inversions. There are cool moments in this layout, and you do go in reverse, so I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. The length, we have less than 1,000 feet of track, and we also have a very small footprint, so that's going to hurt this score because it feels more like a carnival ride, or like the park said, we don't want to spend any money, let's just get the most bang for our buck. So 3 out of 10, because it almost feels like a gimmick, because all the other parks have them, and this park wanted one too. Too short of a ride, really. Smoothness. This is where the coaster gets the biggest knock against it, other than it being a clone. People say that these are extremely rough, some of the roughest. Me personally, when I've been on this model at Fiesta, Texas, it feels okay. It really doesn't feel terribly rough, no matter if I sit in the back or the middle, doesn't matter. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's only going to be docked 1 point. And that's pretty much the average. 7, if you're below a 7, then that means you're rough. If you're 7, it means maybe it's just something with the restraints, or just one transition, something like that. That's not a bad score. Out of 50, we have 25 points for the general public categories. Add this to the 26 points from the enthusiast categories and we get 51 out of 100. That ranking makes this coaster almost last. It comes in just ahead of the Pandemonium clones, 4 points better than those, but still not as good as the Batman clones, which are up at 59, 60, and 61 points. And those are different just based on their theming. But for the Boomerangs, this score will be valid for Fiesta, Texas and Worlds of Fun. They both have boomerangs, they both feel the same, and they look the same. One thing to note is Worlds of Fun has Dinosaurs Alive right next to their coaster, and I am not factoring in that theming as part of the ride because that's a whole separate deal. That's a whole separate attraction. You have other stuff to look at when you're on Boomerang at Fiesta, Texas. It's just further away, but it's there. There's nothing built for Boomerang, either of these Boomerangs, that you can consider theming. So they both get the same score, 51 out of 100. And so that concludes day 2 of the Fiesta Texas Coaster Ranking videos. Tomorrow is going to be Batman the Ride, the SNS 4D free spin, and after that we will do Roadrunner Express, and then it's time for the big boys, the bigger rides. We'll get into ones that will for sure get higher scores. And thank you for watching. Please subscribe. We will get to 700 subscribers probably next week. That was another day in the Hennisphere.